and welcome to this week's episode of Esports Wrap. I'm your host, Michael Amorgan, and with us we have a returning face,
Hey,
Maurice, also known as Chillogen from Black Nebula.
hey, how you doing? I'm here again just to compliment more cookies on a great topic today. But thank you for having me again. Take it from
Anytime,
here.
man. Anytime. But yeah, you kind of like said it right off the bat. Like there's something that you actually had brought up to me a little while ago, and then it kind of blew up from there. Surprisingly, um, to a degree, at least I should say. It's a game called Apex Legends, and they kind of came out of nowhere and has taken over the spot as the top game on Twitch, at least for right now. It's been like what? It's in the second week or now.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say a second full week, probably like a week and couple days. Like this game is extremely strong. Not just based upon the hype, because the hype is gonna die down, and then Twitch is gonna decrease in numbers, and now you'll see the real community. But
Yeah.
Apex League, I mean Legends, is probably one of the best games I've played in a very long time. Just in sheer quality of what they brought out.
Well, okay. So I had my misgivings when
Mm.
I first like saw it. And like you brought it up, and I'm like, I'm not so sure about this. And the more I eventually did download it for PC and started playing it a little bit, just to I don't want to be that guy that just like talks out of his
Yeah,
backside.
actually.
Um, so if I'm gonna hate something, let me actually know that I actually do hate it instead of just like watching other people play through. Let me actually experience it myself. And okay, so I started playing through it, and it kind of got a little weird. So when I first started it, I tried to go into tutorial and then found out that it froze my computer, which is kind of weird because it's a fresh computer and it's kind of powerful at that. Uh, Tried it a few times, still didn't quite work out. So I said, you know what? Let me just try playing a game, and I got into the game fine. And so I was playing it and whatnot. And some of my experience from it kind of still mirrored that of what I watched, in
Mm.
that it still felt like I was playing Fortnite tied in with Call of Duty by the makers of Titanfall. And yes, this
Sweet
game
spot.
is made by the guys who made Titanfall.
And to be honest, Titanfall was a really good game to me. I know if Tyler, aka Ronan, heard this, he would probably still hate me. I love the gun mechanics for Titanfall, but I could not pass around the max. If I'm gonna play it max, I might as well just play Gundam Wing, like for real. That's how I felt about Titanfall, but it was really, really good. And just the sheer fact that they took something that I love deeply. I'm the type of guy who's trying to fight the max. We just You're supposed to get a max to fight a max. Like there's some counterplay to it, but I'm just that guy. I'm just gonna fight this max because I can't stand it. And so they took the same like gun play and brought it into Apex Legends. And I was like, okay, this is another BR. I
Yep.
don't know. I can't. If it's building, no, no Fortnite. I love Fortnite, but not another one.
And
And
how?
it just yeah, you
Sorry.
can go.
No, sorry. Continue.
It I really was the distaste in my mouth about another BR. So I played it with no one, just solo. No, actually, Soul Mazer told me about it. Who was in the Discord?
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded. We popped it in. It's like okay. The tutorial was really really good. Like it was not revolutionary on mechanics or anything. The only really part that surprised me was the sheer graphics of this game and how well it runs. Yeah, I've had some people who had some crashes, here and there, but generally for me, I have not had one crash. Okay, maybe an error when you get out of the game, but you have to spectate and then exit the game, which is annoying. But
Mm.
it was beautiful. Like this game is so beautiful. and it runs too well for what it is. 'Cause look at Fortnite on launch. Look at PUBG on launch. H1Z1. Let's not even talk about these games on launch. This game looked at all the errors of the past, and the network was generally solid. In 2 days, they brought out voice chat, and voice chat was perfect. It felt there was too much gain in the service, so people just like talk and it's just shouting in their ears, and they're like, "Relax, bro. It's not my mic." But it's been generally solid. Just 2 days ago, it broke some series records just for 8 million players in 4 hours. Like,
Yeah. I think it actually broke some more records because it had 25 million players, I think it was. Let me actually see.
hmm.
And I know I actually had that saved.
What you're talking about? I think it was a day ago, to be honest. Yeah, 25 million players this
Yep.
morning, which was February 11th. That's a lot of people. And
That,
now they're
yeah.
introducing seasons. So they're gonna, I don't know how they're gonna approach this. They're probably gonna use a ranking system from a MOBA, because if people don't notice, this is a MOBA slash FPS. It has the passives of gaining your abilities and uh, your ulti, and you have these items like accelerant allows you to get your ulti faster. And it was just little things like that.
It was interesting though. Like from early on inside the game, I was able to use my ult. Like within like the first 5 minutes, like it gave me ult. I hadn't killed anyone. I had just like picked up some stuff. Um, I was with a random team, which is, I mean, the entire process of picking like the characters is very similar to Overwatch in a sense because you're getting heroes, and I think this is why people are comparing it to games like Overwatch and Fortnite and this, that, and that, and the next. And it, like you mentioned, it brings aspects of different stuff into the game. Overwatch, it's heroes, but it's other than that, it doesn't really have any real correlation to Overwatch anymore. Other than it's pick your hero and you shoot people. That's pretty much the only real comparison. Uh,
Without the objectives as well.
exactly. It's yes, some of the heroes have particular things in mind. Like someone is more of a bomber, someone is more of a healer, someone is more of a this, that, and the next. Um, but at the same point, like you can still go around and act for the most part as a general person that's not really specified by role, other than you have a few things that you can use that are kind of like your alts and stuff like that that do stuff that are particular to that particular character. Um, I will agree that the game is really well done. But I think it's the graphics that make me really think of, hey, Fraudfish, welcome to the stream, man. Uh, I think it's the graphics that really make me think of Call of Duty. That and the whole, you got to pick up the the different pieces of gear to
Mhm.
really enhance your weapon. That plus I see some PUBG inside of it as well, like with the vest and the helmet and other stuff like that. Because PUBG, honestly, I think a lot of
That,
BR games took from PUBG and Rust and just kind of because that's what Fortnite did.
yeah. So it was Rust. No, actually, it was Armor. Armor is the real
Yep,
grandfather of all of this. They started the real service. They started BR, and then it was Rust and H1Z1, PUBG, Fortnite, Blackout, Call of Duty, and now it's this.
yep.
It's been quite a bit of years. I mean, people are probably tired of it, but for having an average more than 1 million players per game, that's a lot of people playing this game.
Yeah, I mean, even if you just take a look on Twitch right now, let's just take a look, see how many people are just watching. There are 656,000 viewers of Apex Legends.
Wow.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy when you really think about it. And I mean, if you're a streamer and you didn't jump in early, well, I mean, even if you jumped in early, it's kind of you're gonna be going against some big boys because even the big boy streamers are kind of jumping in on this right now.
Yeah, and yeah, I've been seeing them in the servers, and I'm like, why am I playing against these dudes? Like
Egg, yeah,
already, if you have at least like 6 to 15 to 20 kills, you're gonna be averaging with these guys, and you're gonna see them. You're like, oh, I got wiped by Doctor Disrespect. Like,
yeah. You have Doctor Disrespect going after Shroud inside this game.
yo, I love that. I love those two. So the sheer fact that this game is so competitive, man. It's so competitive. Like you can still have fun, but there's a certain limit because a lot of tryhards came from League, Overwatch, um, probably Call of Duty, probably every other game because it combines so much styles together. The whole
Yeah,
items, the items help the passives, the ulti, the team comps. Because when you this is where the MOBAs come in with the abilities and the team comps with the heroes.
yep. And when you really think about it as well, like it's also adding in elements from other games, like Titanfall, which with the whole zipline thing.
Oh, I love that. Oh, the
Now,
move.
I found this to be quite interesting because yes, it allows you to pretty much move and be fighting even up in the air. But I've also seen a video where someone quite literally jumped off a cliff. Someone was shooting them, and the person who was shooting them jumped off the cliff after them, shot them with the zip line, and then killed them. Like as they were getting closer, and shot him, and then just landed. And so, like, there's a lot of little interesting things here and there in this game. Now, going forward, there's questions that were raised, and we even had it inside the local fighting game community WhatsApp group. Like what I brought up at the time, they hadn't mentioned anything about seasons or battle passes and stuff like that. And sure enough, they've actually announced that they're going to be doing season passes and um, well, battle passes and seasons. Um, if I remember the quote, well, let me actually just look up the quote really quick. Uh, they pretty much said, chimes in on his own post to remind us of what's to come. Season 1 of Apex Legends. Wow. Okay. It's going to be kicking off in March with introducing the debut of the Battle Pass as well as new legends, weapons, loot, and more. But I think one of the real reasons why this game really got off is I think, to be quite honest, they just knew how to work with their partners. So they probably reached out to some of the higher end streamers. And then, of course, they probably reached out to Twitch on a whole because guess what? Inside the same post, they mentioned, Twitch Rivals Apex Legends Challenge, sponsored by our friends at Twitch. The Rivals Apex Legends Challenge will take place this Tuesday, the 12th, so aka today. And next Tuesday, the 19th, with 48 of the biggest streamers on Twitch competing live on Apex Legends. We'll be co-streaming all the action from their Twitch channel, so on and so forth. Then later this week, they'll be celebrating Valentine's Day by introducing some limited time Valentine's Day themed loot. So in that aspect, they're kind of knocking on the whole Fortnite themed stuff as well. Along with the whole seasons and so on and so forth. They also mentioned that they had over 2 million concurrent players at their peak so far, which, if we remember, took Fortnite a while to reach. It took them a few months to just reach like 10 million. And within not even 2 weeks, they reached 2.
I just I felt that a lot of people just was a little frustrated in Fortnite because there's a certain skill gap of a builder, a master builder, and a person who's trying to have fun. And it disintegrates that. Like Apex really toned down all of the advanced movements and all this other stuff from other games and just kept it kind of simple. A slide. There's not no major disruptances in your like movement. So like when you're jumping and shooting, that's just one thing. There's no guy like flipping around, walking on walls. So it's very standard. And they took the same approach where they They took the same approach as Nintendo with Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. It's simple, but that's where the micromanagement comes in. Like you really need in certain times an Apex needs to ulti. Like for example,
Yep.
like for who is it? Caustic. My first time I got bodied in this game. There is an alleyway around the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
and everything was just too silent. And we saw this object because we're still new to this game, and the poison just starts to come out. And I was like, okay, I'm panicking. What
Oh
is
my
going?
gosh.
And he threw his ulti, and the guys just swarmed in there and just took us away. So I can see the possible awesome plays that you could do with this game. Because the 3 versus 4 makes it less hectic. The fact that zip lines and balloons, is these contraptions that you can use to get to a certain point. I wouldn't say to the next area, but at least halfway. So the game is fast. As soon as you take down someone, another team is coming. I've been in
Yep.
so much team fights where they're like 5, 6 teams in a certain area, and it gets crazy. So they sped up the game. The Fortnite's too slow, so they had to nerf building and buff it at the same time, where you get a lot of building supplies, and it just got a little irritating. Call of Duty as well. It took too long to get a certain point. This game is like 20 minutes or less.
Yep.
Fortnite, those could go for an hour if dudes are really, really good and waiting. Yeah,
Like,
Apex has done everything right, I feel. And in the first day, people are extremely impressed.
yeah. And the matchmaking does fairly well. So, for example, my first game, my team made it to second place. Um, Somehow we were lucky with that. But the fact is, I probably spent 15 to 20 minutes, just like you said, inside that game. I didn't have to worry about building. I didn't have to worry too much. Like, even though I mentioned that you have to think about the whole getting items and everything and build and actually working things together, the fact of the matter is the game is still so new. There's no real meta for the weapons yet. You're still trying to figure this out. There's no, so you just try to go for what you think is going to be the best thing. Pick up the ammo for that. I love the fact that you can actually ping stuff for your teammates, and it'll actually like say, okay, there's a level 2 helmet here, and your teammates can hear that. And so if they have a level 1, they go by where the ping is, and they can actually upgrade it. And that works on all the items.
Even for when they're pinging enemies
Yep.
incoming, that is one of my favorite parts. And so it tracks them for a split second, so you can see the trajectory of where the person is running just for a split second if they're like
Yep.
noticing. But just the sheer fact that they brought that into the game, they integrated a lot of great things into this game.
They
A
did.
lot.
Even when you shoot, if you're seeing, like, if you're watching two people shoot at each other from a distance, you can actually see, like, who shot from which area first or whatever, like that. So, for example, if I'm shooting here, you'll actually see, like, a spark of light up to a certain point to say the person is shooting from here. Games like Fortnite, you just see a
Oh yeah,
streak, and then it just slowly, like, you, you see one end that kind of tells you
really
it's
fast.
heading this way.
But it's both ways. It's like this super long line, and I love that.
Exactly. So it gives you a bit more detail as to like where the shot came from and so on and so forth. And like you mentioned, there are a lot of different things that you can do in this game, and people are still finding this out. So, for example, I watched a video that was kind of horrific and reminded me a lot of like really bad stuff, but it was still funny as hell. Uh, and it kind of reminded me of Rust in a sense because what they did was they set a trap inside of room. A team went inside the room to go pick up stuff. They then threw down stuff in front of the doors, but before they did that, they threw down poison inside the room, poison gas, and so they pretty much gassed them to death.
Oh, by the way, if no one knows, you can actually melee the doors off. Takes 2 hits.
Yep.
I
Apparently, the
did not
team
know
did
that.
not know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Tips
So
and tricks 101.
yeah. And so there's some stuff out there that's kind of wow. I would not have expected that, but it's the point of the matter is that it's possible. And if it's possible, that means that there's still some more creative things that you can actually do in this game. And if there's more creative stuff that you can do, that just ends up being more fun for a lot of people. Even if you're going to that kind of route, I mean, look at Rust. Rust quite literally has places that people have built up for the pure purpose of killing people, trapping them. They have prisons in Rust, which you cannot get out unless a certain person lets you out.
I love that. Like I don't play Rust, but I just watch videos of it, and they're always hilarious to me. Always.
So the fact that they have taken from all these different games, and it actually is a pretty decent game. Like I'm still saying people like new things, and that's the reason why it's top. Plus the fact that it's free. I think the numbers will go down after maybe a month or two, but I think it's still going to end up being like a top tier game going forward, especially. And this was one of my concerns that they weren't going to do it, but I'm hoping that they do and they continue with it. Is that Fortnite? The reason why Fortnite is the top BR game, well, was the top BR game, I should say, was because they continuously kept a living game in a sense. Things were always changing. They were always bringing out new weapons, well, cycling out weapons, adding new weapons, new strategies. Even with building and whatnot, the reason why they even brought out Build a Fortress was to help people compete against master builders. So they're quite literally building stuff up just to make things better. And if Apex Legends can do something like that and actually take a look and actually just try to help shape the meta when they see things are leaning a little bit too far this way or this, instead of just completely skewing stuff, like we've noticed in Overwatch.
It's so good.
Then they can actually make this work pretty well. And that's one of the reasons why people like Fortnite so much. Yes, it's a BR game. Yes, it's free. Yes, there's season passes and battle passes and, well, seasons and battle passes and all this kind of stuff inside of it, plus the whole themes and skins and all that, which, you know, Apex seems to have done and taken from and learned from. Then Apex can actually end up being a solid game going forward, in my opinion.
Let me tell you, the only reason why people even playing Fortnite is because they throw so much money into the tournaments. The company literally took what 50 to 100 million just for tournaments. That's a
Yep.
lot of money.
Yep.
And people like money. So that's
And
why Fortnite is so consistent with these tournaments.
and the thing is, these tournaments aren't even like that well made.
No,
Like people,
because they don't trust the servers.
it's not even just trusting the servers. It's sometimes this. Okay, here's an example. Recently, they did a tournament, and it was they were saying that they were going to be more open with like how they were going to pick people for different tournaments and stuff like that, and like rankings and stuff. The secret tournament, which wasn't all that secret, they ended up picking people and ranking people based on that, even though there was no notification that they were going to do that. And so for the next tournament that they did, the people who were selected for that, well, some of the like the higher end tier streamers that actually are really good at the game weren't even included, like Myth, for example. Like he even took to Twitter over it. And
Wow.
yeah, they're and here's the thing. That same tournament that they were picking people for, they had said that they were going to give people, like I said, they're going to be more transparent and heads up and stuff like that. What they did is they released a new patch which changed the game, like because every patch changes the game. It's new weapons, so on and so forth. So that requires different strategies. That dropped the same day of the tournament. And so that, like, people were wondering like what's going that well that was going to drop on the same day of the tournament, and so people are wondering, are we going to be playing on the new version of this, or are we going to be playing on like an older version of the game, so like we actually know how to play this and like what is what, so on and so forth. And Fortnite's not being very upfront with that, so it's kind of in a weird place, and people aren't necessarily all that happy with Epic Games on how they're handling that.
Yeah. People just feel betrayed. Other than that, it's it's player base is kind of lowering just a little bit. It's becoming stagnant now. But a lot of people have probably gonna leave very soon. As soon as they see some type esports push for this game, which I probably think is gonna happen because I feel like three is a really good number for a team. Because they also use the same for Hearthstone and like college tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like three is really, really solid, especially when you're an established on a small scale, even if you're a C9 and such. But it gives a lot of space. It's very fast,
Yep.
20-minute game, boom, championship over. And if they just listen to the community, create custom servers, please just do that. Because then there's not really a real way how to add people in game. You have to add them in Epic, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have the best PC, you know how long that black screen is gonna be before you even it. And some people game crashes when they alt tab. There's certain things that they just need to fix. But the game itself, for me, the gun mechanics is a solid 9. 9 and a little higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pace of the game, it's perfect. 20 minutes or less, beautiful. Reminds me of old school League. 3, the classes, I really like the classes. Classes are simple, nothing too crazy. I feel like they're balanced, personal thoughts. I don't think too any class is too OP or out of this world or super strong. I feel like all classes in their own way are supremely strong. They did a great job of balancing the abilities for me because I haven't heard any complaints. When you're going solo in these matches and you're just talking to the community, trying to figure out what they're up to, what do they like about it. I haven't heard any complaints. Oh, this game is garbage. What is this? People raging. I have not met a rager yet.
Yeah. I
Eh,
think the only people that I've seen complaining about the game, quite honestly, were those that just had technical issues. Which, again, the game is 2 weeks old.
Oh, trust me, you're gonna get a letter from me if this don't work. Especially if I love this game. Oh, spam email. You gonna block me? I I just I'm just surprised at the sheer fact that they put so much time. You could see that they've been polishing this game and they just surprised you. They're just like, hey, this game, let's just put on NFL or some advertisement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, then, and they're probably never going to advertise again because they have the numbers now. Such a smart play. Didn't say nothing I did not hear. No, people dig in the dirt. They look for data. Characters for Super Smash, and then it's 2 years later, and you're like, wow, okay, thanks. But it helps.
And, you might be right. People may start to leave Fortnite because it kind of, one of their more recent stunts kind of felt like they've jumped the shark. And that was they actually brought in a DJ into Fortnite. They paused the game for like 10 minutes. So you can actually, like how sometimes when they have events, people will kill other people and stuff like that. They cut that off completely. You can't attack anybody during this 10 minutes. And I mean, it was interesting because they kind of showed off all the effects. Well, not all, but a lot of different effects that they could actually pull off. From like throwing people up in the air and not taking any damage to like throwing stuff out, doing beach balls, that kind of stuff. But they had a concert in Fortnite for 10 minutes. Stopped the game, and just had a concert, like with an actual DJ that I don't know if he was live. It didn't quite seem like it because I don't know, but it could have been a recording for it. And I mean, they had his 3D model. It like if you really zoom in on it, like you could even see like his sneakers, and so they probably did like a recording of his body, put it up on the stage so that where people can't really get to, and then just played it out and built around that. And while that's great and shows off a lot of stuff, it's also to the point why, hey Jackie, welcome to the stream. Um, it does come up to the point where like you kind of feel like you're watching Second Life come back. It's like, why are you adding a concert into this? Are you gonna start like adding business stuff in here? Like,
business stuff in Fortnite.
are we
Hey,
gonna
my
start
God.
seeing like people like flying around the screen? Oh wait, no, we already have that.
Oh, Fortnite does it well, dude. For me, Fortnite, when I first played it, I really, really liked the game. The building is pretty fun. It's intricate, but it can get annoying at a certain point because probably like 85% of Fortnite, you're building.
Yeah,
5%, you get no 10%, you get materials. 5%, you got headshot. That's Fortnite.
for the
That's the
most
live
part.
Fortnite.
For the
But
most part.
Apex, you feel so empowered. So okay, Apex give me the same feeling like Halo, where you feel like you can just wipe a team by yourself, and you can do that in Apex. And I've done it quite a bit. I won quite a bit of matches in Apex, and I think my highest was like 9, and then they also add assists, so I had like 6 assists with that.
Nice.
It just feels really really good. It feels really balanced. Like I don't feel like, oh, this class is just gonna like crap on me because they could just press Q or press R.
Yeah.
And I've just seen so much fun plays. I haven't actually, I lied. I haven't seen really that much plays. I've seen more gunfights than anything else because I feel like a lot of people who play FPS don't understand the mobile world like that, and people who main mobiles don't understand FPS. So you see two different
Mm.
styles of play. It's kind of weird when everyone understands and comes to this holistic understanding. This game is gonna be perfect. People are gonna be try hard this game, and I think they're gonna do it. This game is gonna be great for esports. I think it has a
It definitely
strong
has
counter.
potential. It definitely has potential. Probably better than Fortnite, I would have to say, because EA actually has a little bit of history in doing esports. Um, Especially when it comes to like Call of Duty and stuff like that. Vitalis says esports. I don't think it's so hard to follow. Better than Fortnite is correct. Uh, but I mean, time will tell. Again, it's only been 2 weeks. They have, just like Fortnite has made a lot of missteps since they first came out. We do have to remember this is an EA game. As
Yeah, no, I just remember. I mean, they're doing great for this one. I mean, they probably had to do this, right? Because Battlefront, get that out of here.
but
FIFA, still glitchy.
they've taken stuff from Battlefront as well. Like instead of loot boxes, the crates, and then with this, instead of crates, you just have the little mecha that drops off 3 things.
Yeah.
It looks like it belongs in Star Wars. Um, just like how you get your items and how you pick your like even the team picking kind of feels a little bit Star Warsy. I'm not gonna lie. Like it
Oh yeah,
looks
with the cutscene.
exactly. It
Yes, that.
reminds me a lot when I actually take a look. This looks like they take some stuff from Star Wars. Like they learned from Star Wars that you don't do this, you do this, and you get this from the community.
um,
And
You know
it's
what
like,
it is? The best solution for every new game, just make it free. Because fun equals money.
but then microtransactions and
I mean, you don't have to see the microtransactions in majority of these games are along the lines of looking better, looking your style, giving yourself personality rather than looking like the default skin. Nobody wants to be a default skin.
yeah,
And they haven't even started with the skins. The skins are pretty okay. Like Fortnite still has the best memes and the best like costumes thus far, and probably any game. That's what really makes
yeah,
Fortnite because it took that element from MMORPGs where this character felt like you, and that's what I miss. Apex not too much yet. They're just focusing on the mechanics, but they'll bring all that memes later.
yeah.
People are gonna be begging for like dance moves,
Oh God,
begging.
please, please do not do that. Please do not do that.
Apex doesn't need that to be honest. No,
No,
but if you look at their finishers that you do onto someone
I
that is
mean,
on the ground
yeah,
is pretty fresh. Like they're pretty funny for some of them. Like what was his name? Not Caustic. Mirage? Like he
yeah.
literally does the Michael Jackson move and like kicks you in the face and you die. Like I would feel terrible. Like the finishers are pretty solid in that game. I love it. They've done quite a bit. And they're taking their own style. I feel like they took all of their failures and they was like, bro, we better do this or we're just gonna lose more money. And this is what came about. Just I'm not sure if they brought a lot of passion behind it, like PUBG, because PUBG started with a lot of passion.
Yeah, but they also started with a lot of server issues.
Yeah, because they didn't put those same money back into their servers. They prefer to take it as profit. But Apex Legends at launch, my goodness, one of the strongest launches I've seen in years. And I've like tried Siege, I've literally tried betas for majority of the games, and oh my goodness, don't let me get them. These other games, they
You
were
know,
strong. Mhm.
well, sorry, continue your point.
Yeah, they were super strong launch, strongest launch. Like they literally should get an award. There should literally be an award for games that do it that do release well because it's kind of hard nowadays. It's just like, oh, this is half of a game. The reason why majority of these servers are so garbage is because they try to lowball it.
Yep.
They literally try to lowball it as possible so they can just get enough servers rather than get more so people can enjoy themselves. See, this is the small things you have to sacrifice to get a better game. And that's what PUBG lacked. So Apex just did everything right. PUBG literally had years to improve.
Yep.
It took too long.
Yep. You're right.
PUBG is funny. PUBG is one of the literally has the funniest community of all time. Don't let me get on the voice like chats. I've been, Apex is more mature and
Being able to
competitive.
deflect a bullet and then kill someone with a frying pan.
Yeah,
That's
that's
PUBG.
awesome. Yeah, bro, that's real life. I think it could happen. And then like the grenades and glitches. That's the first game where I felt glitches were fine, but Apex is just too smooth.
Yeah.
It graphics 9.5.
You know what
Even
game?
mm,
Sorry. What were you saying? Even what?
even when when the care package comes in right in the
Yep.
tutorial, that was so. The animations, I was like, no way. They didn't just do this. And they do it efficiently in the server.
Yep.
They do all these crazy spamming ultis and there is no lag. I
It
mean, if
works
you're running
really well.
a Windows 98, I'm sorry for you,
Ooh.
but this game is perfect. Like literally close to perfect. Closest to perfect I've ever felt. And I really wish that it prospers because it has I can't even say potential because it already did it.
You know what game had really crap, like a really crap launch, but actually surprised me when I played it? It's a recent game. God Eater 3 on
Oh,
PS4.
a lot of people have been saying a lot about this game.
Yeah. God Eater 3. It's they have an anime out for it. It's based on the game, the original game. And this game is such a weird piece of software. Okay. I will
Hmm.
run through this really quickly. Again, this is the third iteration of the God Eater series, where you pretty much use the bodies and DNA of these creatures that want to kill everyone on Earth, and they infuse them onto a bracelet. Then when it clamps down onto you, it injects your body with, you know, crud,
Ooh, it's my type of anime.
and allows you to wield a God arc, which is a type of weapon. Could be many different types, from dual weapons to guns to swords to lances to so on and so forth. And you use these weapons to kill these same monsters because pretty much nothing else works against them. Again, you're using pretty much their body against them, so it breaks and like is able to break into them. Now, the thing about this game is it when you first start playing it, it does not really come across all that entertaining. But then you play it and you find yourself along with either your friends who would have also bought it or just by yourself, in my case, playing with the NPCs, catching up to my friends who decided to buy it, not tell me. A little bit of shade there.
Wow.
Um, but I caught up to them anyway, and I found myself about 3 hours later into this game actually enjoying myself. Despite not 100% catching everything in the story, but understanding that the story is actually pretty well done. It's not the best story out there by far, but it's not Kingdom Hearts 3. So, um, yeah, that was shade towards Kingdom Hearts 3 for their craptastic story. Yay. We spent like 15 years waiting for this, and you guys give us this.
I'm about to go through my failures of my life when I play that game. Don't even worry.
But yeah, for comparatively to Kingdom Hearts 3, I would say God Eater 3 is a much better game. They surprised me a number of times when they went from, actually CG to throwing it as an actual anime scene in the game, which was really smoothly done. And I wish they had done all of the cutscenes like that. Like, that would have just been beautiful. But I understand some of the reasons why they didn't. Especially when it comes to customization of and you're picking between genders and all this stuff. So I digress with that part. But when I'm also waiting for a game like Anthem to come out, which is going to be one of our next topics for the show, this is actually a pretty fun game to just kill time with and just play with your friends. Like, we quite literally spent, I think, most of Sunday and a good chunk of Saturday just playing God Eater 3 for a game that has pretty much not been heard of much.
I have not heard of it much, which is kind of hilarious. I've just known that it did terrible. I mean, I'm looking at it again. The first game did terrible, like the
Yeah.
average 0.5. The second one did fairly well. I would say a solid 7.9. And this one actually got the worst rating. But from what I've seen about it, people say that it's really good when it comes to the fighting mechanics. It's like a balance of Final Fantasy and Monster Hunter a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's plays to Monster
Oh,
Hunter really well, especially World, because you're breaking off parts just like Monster Hunter. You're building up your weapon just like Monster Hunter. Like, it's like Monster Hunter, the hype from Monster Hunter built inside this game, but God Eater.
yeah, very anime like. Especially, no, I was saying with the Final Fantasy with the numbers, and that's where I think
Yeah.
it probably falls short. It looks really, really nice.
And like, I just took a look. Most places are giving it like a 7. Like
Solid.
Steam has a 7 out of 10. Metacritic has a 71%. IGN has a 7.6 out of 10.
Wait, wait,
Uh,
wait. You said Metacritic gave them what?
Metacritic gave them a 71%.
I'm even surprised by that.
Yeah,
They are real critics.
yeah. GameSpot gave them a 6 out of 10, which, I mean,
Who's GameSpot again?
GameSpot was a 6 out of 10.
Oh, I don't even
Uh,
trust their resource.
I know, right? Amazon. Okay, that's kind of weird. There's only one customer review on Amazon for it.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a 5 out of 5.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay.
Let me
What
just
do you
see if
just think?
there's any other God Eaters available on here. Wow. Yeah. God Eater 3 only has one review on Amazon.
Wow. And God Eater came around 2010. PlayStation Portable.
Yep. On PlayStation, they have 15 ratings and a 4 out of 5 rating. Well, that's the demo. That is the demo.
So based upon all these numbers that we've seen, we can say this game gets an 8.
Yeah. A 7. Oh, okay. The actual game on PlayStation, 48 reviews, 5-star.
Hmm. So that's just niche lovers. But I'm trying to get a balance between, the people who really don't like it, because you don't hear about it at all. I have not heard about this game probably until like a couple months when it was like released and such.
Yeah. Like God Eater 3 came out on the 8th of this month.
And
And you haven't really heard about it all that much, except for like apparently not a whole bunch of people have rated this game either. If like the PlayStation only has 48 reviews, God Eater 3 on Steam has Steam it's different.
oh,
It has
Steam.
like over
Steam
1,000
is.
reviews. Um,
I trust Steam. I trust my Steam people. Salute.
and if you take a look at how it was rated, it's mostly positive. 1,160 reviews. So some people are saying it's too easy. I kind of find that to be somewhat true. Like once I started playing with my friends once I caught up to them, like we were getting like SS and S and triple S like rate rankings when we were killing stuff. And I don't know if that's because we were already kind of used to it by playing Monster Hunter and stuff like that, because this was our first God Eater game. But for the most part, the kills are difficult. Like quite literally, we have been down. Like we have been down one or two people at the same time before. Got back up, and still ended up killing it, and still getting like a S, at least an S ranking. So the fact that we can do that and not be like disheartened or say this is a crap game or anything like that kind of goes towards it. And so I would have to say this game has probably had one of the worst launches in the fact that people haven't really been talking about them too much, other than the people who already know the God Eater series, even if it's just from the anime. But one of the best games out there right now that's new.
That's really sad. That's really, really sad. Just the sheer fact that I've not heard anything about this game. And it's very easy. Based upon what I've looked at and reviewed, it looks fun. It really, really looks fun. I would try it. But that difficulty is a big thing, especially when you have to go against Bloodborne,
Yeah.
Dark Souls, Monster Hunter. You get killed by a frog in Monster Hunter. Like no one, if it's not
Honestly,
giving you that challenge,
I would actually say Monster Hunter is probably more difficult of a game.
super difficult. I can't even like play certain. Oh my goodness, Monster Hunter World. I could some of those things just mm-mm.
You just need
that
to
like
build up for it.
yeah, that electricity squirrel destroys me. I'm so tired of that thing.
Really? He destroys you?
Yeah, it destroys me. No, because I'm very new. This is like my
Uh,
first Monster Hunter, and I'm not know what's going on. Because I'm not really that area where God Eater. I would say God Eater is more closely related. I mean, it's closely related to Monster Hunter and Dark Souls. Those area. It could have been if it had its difficulty. You can't have a name like God Eater and not hard as hell. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you're supposed to be super frustrated because even Ninja Gaiden, the first one was super hard.
I actually have a feeling there's probably gonna be something at the end of it. It's like, or somewhere along that they like up the difficulty. Um, I just have that feeling because even Monster Hunter kind of eventually got to that point. Like after you got to a certain rank in Monster Hunter World, like they started to give you like tempered monsters, and then of course there's the Elder Dragons, and then there's like the big baddies, like you know I
And how
forget
did
the names, but
the monsters work in God Eater? Were they did they have like weaknesses and stuff? Because
yeah,
Monster Hunter is very intricate,
yeah,
very.
they have something. It's very similar to Monster Hunter World. You like I said, you can break off parts. Some of the monsters have weaknesses. Sometimes that like when you actually try to find out information because you haven't fought it before, it just says unknown, which again is very similar to what Monster Hunter does. And so like the more you fight it, the more you learn. And so for example, there was a monster that we had. It's a story based monster, and when we fought it, because we'd already fought it before, we could see that it had certain weaknesses. Granted, at the time we couldn't switch weapons, so we kind of screwed, but we still ended up beating it. Um, but they do have weaknesses to certain elements. There are weapons that have those elements, or that like are bad against certain elements. Or like, so example, if the monster is like electricity, it's going to work against you because it actually has a disaffinity to that particular element, so on and so forth. Sometimes the weapons have like double the damage to a particular element weakness, that kind of stuff. So it does have that built inside there. Um, Unlike Monster Hunter World, though, there's no real armor sets. It's all based on your weapon. You can change up the outfits, sure, but it's just purely cosmetic. It's not going to make you take less damage. So in that aspect, I think it's a little harder. But just because of how they increase the difficulty on these monsters, I'm not sure. Then again, I'm in the story. I'm only rank 4. There's rank 7s out there. I have no idea how that's gonna turn out when I get that high up in the game. Rank 7s may end up just kicking my butt. I I don't know just yet, but I do know that I'm having fun with this game. The same kind of fun I had with Monster Hunter, and it's a good thing to have. Just waiting around because I'm waiting for Anthem. I'm waiting for another game, and this game was a surprising find.
Mm.
So I don't know, guys. If you think this is your kind of game, definitely give it a shot.
What would you give it out of 10?
Honestly, I would probably give it like a 6.5 or 7. Like it's above average. There are some things they could work on, especially with like just quality of life stuff that could definitely bring it up to an 8. Um, but again, I'm only like halfway through the story roughly. So there could be more stuff. There could be big changes. The storyline flows. The Japanese audio is definitely much better voice than the English audio.
Ooh.
um
Subs, no dubs.
It does have subtitles.
A
So there is
well,
that. But if you switch over to Japanese audio, I found that there were times when I was like on a mission and they were talking and I was just focusing on what I was killing and not really like reading. So there are things that I can miss. So there's that. Unless you want to just keep it on English. And that way you can actually just focus on what you're killing and just listen. But there are characters that quite literally sound like 10 times better on the Japanese version.
yes, I'm sorry. When it comes to like those type of games, especially anime, weeaboo mode activated. You gotta have the subs and like see, this is where the shotting gun comes in, and you just can be able to read while you're watching the action at the same time.
Yep.
So that takes like years of
Yeah.
watching.
You cannot have just some random person come who's never like watched subtitles before and say, "Hey, watch this anime with me." That's not dubbed.
They probably would be so lost. Like
They're
so
like,
so
"How are you
lost.
able to read this and watch it at the same time?" That's quite literally what my family has told me before. And I'm just like, practice.
Yeah, did
Practice.
real practice. And if God Eater had a little bit of CGI, some anime, an easier version than Monster Hunter and Dark Souls, sounds like my type of game. So not never played it, but based upon whatever from your opinion and what I've seen from the reviews and how the gameplay works, I was watching some videos as well as we talked. Yeah, I give it a solid 7. Something like you just pick up, like you said, you can play with your friends, which probably make it even more fun.
Yep.
And the true value with friend, it probably makes it like a solid 8. Just you could just meme around and have fun. Yeah, I give it a 7.5.
And the fights don't necessarily take long. Like they could be hard fights, and once you have the good enough gear, you can probably finish them in like 15 minutes. Finish a mission off. And so you just move on to the next mission, move on to the next mission, maybe do an optional mission, get some more resources to build a better weapon, that kind of thing. And then there's the story, which, can take 5 to 10 minutes, just like actually just watching things play out, which you can, of course, skip if you want to. But it's pretty well crafted. I have to give it kudos.
My last question for God Eater. Would you play God Eater 4?
As of right now, yes. I would also have to say it depends on how this storyline continues to go. If it drops later on and I'm like, why did you do this to me? I may have second thoughts. But the way how it's going now, it's probably. I just may actually end up buying a God Eater 4 if they make one.
Okay, so after you've played through this, it's time for some good old content.
I actually
God of.
probably
Mhm.
I may actually stream that this weekend, so long as we can get on and whatnot, and PSN's not having issues like they were last weekend.
PC Masters.
But so long as that's working, then I'll probably be streaming, guys. So you can keep an eye out for that too. Ted Scheckler saying, "Hey guys, hey, pick a movie, replace the entire cast with puppets except one actor, and which movie, what actor?" Oh wow.
It's puppets except one actor. Just because I want to be a meme, I would say Matrix. I would like to see that. Just Mr. Anderson just fighting all these like puppets, and I like to see Morpheus as a puppet just speaking with those like shades. Trust me, I got it.
You know what would be interesting? I know this kind of works against it, but the Nutty Professor.
Oh no, they're gonna look weird. Oh.
Exactly.
Oh my
And
goodness.
switch out Eddie Murphy.
Oh. Oh no, my boy. Okay, then that show would just be strange. Just like
Exactly.
anybody but Eddie Murphy. I don't know.
I mean, even if you switch out the girlfriend, actually, that she's probably better. Switch out the girlfriend.
No, they was perfect. But okay, how about this? We just replace them with Wesley Snipes and Big Mama.
Ooh.
I like to see that play out.
You mean Wesley Snipes as Big Mama?
No, no, no. Wow, we're getting somewhere. Look at you. Look at you did. Look at you did, Ted.
But guys, that is actually it for this week's episode of Esports Wrap. We did it. So, guys, if you missed any part of this episode, feel free to head over to our YouTube page in like a day or two. We're going to have this up there. If you just want to listen to the audio, we've got a podcast as well that you can listen to pretty much anywhere. So we've got it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, pretty much everywhere out there that you can listen to a podcast. You can also head over to our website, MOAR Cookies, MOAR Cookies.com. The YouTube is youtube.com/MOAR Cookies. We also have a Discord chat, so if you want to continue this conversation in our Discord, you can always check inside the links below. If you're watching live on Twitch or anywhere else, it's right below in the panels and stuff like that. If you're on YouTube, it's right below inside the description. And yeah, thank you, Maurice Chillogen, for coming on to this week's episode.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. And thanks for everyone for watching, my N64 webcam. Don't ever buy a Logitech. This is not a Logitech. This is not a Logitech sponsored ad, okay? That camera, 922, promise 1080p 30. This is an N64. Do not buy this. Thanks for having me. That was just my little rant. I've been holding that in for the whole time. But thank you for having me here. It's been really fun time as usual. God of War 3, buy it. You're not gonna waste your money. Apex League. I'm sorry.
Apex Legends.
Apex Legends. I'm sorry, Respawn. I'd never do it again. But play that game. You're gonna have a wonderful time. And add me. I'll be playing.
His name's Chillogen, so just look for that.
They got my wallet, but they're probably thinking of like $100. Gotta look fresh.
Jesus.
No default skins, please. I don't play a default skin.
I'll be in his party on a default skin.
Reported. But thanks.
But yeah, guys, that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to be back with Esports Wrap on Tuesdays. And of course, our sister show, MOAR Tech, which talks about technology, is on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when all of our shows typically start. So until next time, guys, take care.